there are two ways to live life, I think, sometimes. There can be more, but right now I just want to stick with this. You can live life with blind faith, or you can live life with your eyes peeled wide open, seeing life for what it is. And people who usually are pushed out of everything, they get to see how everything plays out. They get to watch from the cheap seats, because those are the only seats they're going to be allowed to have. So when they finally get towards the center row or the floor and can engage in certain conversations, those conversations come from the cheap seats, not down there where everyone is hooping and hollering. So that's a very difficult situation for anyone. That's a literal culture clash within a culture. And that's what is happening. If you are listening to me and you have this sensation of, I don't know about what he's saying, I don't like this, it's not cool, I feel icky, I don't know, he don't believe, I don't like what he has to say about disbelieving. That's because I get to talk to you from the outside. I wasn't born basically into hey, believe in God, believe in Jesus, and here's all the riches you get from doing it, and you get to live as happily and as merrily as you want. No, but I wasn't born to the gutter either. I wasn't born so low that all you have is your religion. I wasn't born there either. But I was born, pretty much in the middle. That's where I was. And I got to experience things in more of a balanced mindset. I got to compare and contrast. I got to see cause and effect, those things I learned before I was 9 years old. And, all I could do was gain experience. And that's what leads into this topic today. Today, I want to just reflect on some things that also solidified my being an atheist and pushing things away. Now, listening to the things the preacher, the choir, the congregation, family, friends, people around the way, overhearing conversations, all this other stuff, I had this strong thing within me where it was like, you know what? Christians, because that's all you hear. A good Christian will always help. A good Christian has open arms. A good Christian will listen. A good Christian lives by the way of the Lord and listens to Jesus and prays and talks to Jesus and God. And okay, so that, the no true Scotsman fallacy, which I've learned only recently, honestly, what that really fully meant. So if you're a good Christian, you'll have to do these things. All right. So I hear that, quite honestly, all the time, even today. And I really heard it back then. So, I wanted to know one thing, one thing, how many people believe in God? How many people, are Christian or whatnot? I didn't really hear of any other, things growing up too much. I know I remember hearing negative talk against Methodists and Baptists. And, and I remember thinking, if y'all believe in the same God, why are y'all at each other's throats? I didn't know anything about Methodists or Baptists. And then later, I think I was about 16. I heard about Catholics and whatnot, and everything about Catholics were it was dark, grim, soul-devouring stuff. It was, you're in this dungeon, you're in a dark room, and this is only, not that you're actually there, but it's the mindset one would have when confronted with a preacher or whatnot, someone of religious authority within that sect. So you're placed there, and the whole thing is, you're under scrutiny. You're in the blackness with a light, a thin light on your forehead, and you just hear the voice, do you give yourself to God? It's like, whoa, shit. Will you obey him completely? Shit. Yeah. To get out of here. Yes. Yeah. Come on, chill. So that's what I always, that was depicted on TV. That's what I literally heard coming from, family and whatnot. Not really any friends or anyone. Not for that. But man, I remember myself, I'm like, why do you have to be a Christian to do good things? I mean, wow. I mean, is it like, because I didn't want to be a Christian. I didn't want to be whatever believes in God or whatnot. I didn't want to have anything to do with that stuff. I really didn't. But me, I guess just my character flaw. I like to help people. And it sucks because a lot of people don't deserve help because they keep digging themselves into a hole or treating others like trash. But part of me was like, I know they treat this person like dirt, but in terms of me, they're innocent. They haven't done anything to me. I didn't have that mindset like I do now. Like, well, you're going to mess with them. They're going to do it to me. So I didn't have that mindset. So I was like, look, here's an example. Okay. I Salvation Army. That's where I would go after school. Middle school it was. So I'm just a little kid. I'm just a little kid. I am roughly fifth grade. This is when elementary school went up to sixth grade. So mom gets me a 20-piece McNugget. And I'm like, yay, and that's after school and it's for lunch and whatnot while I'm at the Salvation Army for like 3 or 4 hours or whatnot. Okay, it's lunchtime. Everybody get your stuff. And everyone, you can smell the McNuggets. They were cold, but they smelled a whole lot better than, the home-bought sandwiches. And I'm just sitting on the steps with my nuggets, and I open the box. I'm about to eat one. Someone asked they could have one. So I'm like, all right, so I give them one. So one by one, people coming by asking for one. Next thing I know, I'm down to like 5. But I'm like, in my mind, as a kid, you wouldn't ask for food unless you're hungry. So they must be hungry and maybe they don't have much. And seeing is that mom was able to get me a 20-piece McNugget without even a thought, she can probably get me another where these people probably can't have much. So, okay, it just made sense. I get to my last one. Now, at this moment, that's when, a little bit of survival instinct kind of kicks in. So oh my goodness. This dude come up and I got my last one. He sees it's my last one. And just like the one, there was a guy beforehand, I think it was probably on my first 3 nugget giveaways, where he's like, hey man, give me a nugget. And I was like, whoa, and it struck me. I'm a little kid, but I was struck by that. And I said, wait a minute, because I know how I was treated. So I was like, you can't ask for it? You're just telling me to give it to you? And so he gets all annoyed, but he was like, can I have a nugget, please? I didn't want him to say please, but just to ask, can I have a nugget? And I'm like, sure. And that's usually how I tend to be. If you ask me for something, I usually try to do it, not unless my laziness kick in. I'm like, man, that's just too much right now. That's too much. I can't deal. I can't, even if it's something simple like, can you go pick up that piece of paper over there on the floor? My laziness kick in. I'm like, that means I got to get up, go to the paper, pick it up, ball it up, put it in the trash. There's too many actions. I just want to sit here and do nothing. So this last guy comes in. I give the guy obviously the third one a nugget because he to me did right. But the last one come in, he sees this is my last one. He's like, can I have it? He asked me, but I look at him and I say, but this is my last one and I haven't had any yet. And he was like, come on, man, let me have it. And I was like, half? I give you half? Come on, man, give me the whole thing. And I was like, no. So he was pissed off. And he stormed off. He was mad that I wouldn't give him my last whole nugget. So then I look at my nugget and I think to myself, this is stupid. How is he angry over something that He wouldn't know. How did he even know about it? And I figured the others must have been telling him going up and down the stairs. But I eat my nugget, my last nugget, my only nugget. I hadn't had anything to eat since 11:30, and it was going on, I think it was going on probably 5:15 around that time. So you can imagine how hungry I must have really been. So I have my nugget, no drink, nothing. And after that nugget, I decide to I discard everything in the trash like I should. I try to go play games, and then the guy starts hounding me. He starts hounding me. I didn't know how this was going to be, but yeah, he starts hounding me. He starts picking on me, starts picking on my mom, so I start picking on his mom. And he's all like, my mom's dead. And I'm thinking, if you don't want your mom picked on, then you don't need to be picking on mine. And if you didn't want your mom picked on, don't pick on anybody. There's no need to do it, you know? So my thing was, you can do what you want to me. You can say what you want to me, but I'm not going to stop because you keep doing it. So he wouldn't shut up. He kept going. You know, one insult kept leading to another. He chases me down. Now this guy, he chases me down and he quote unquote whoops my ass. I don't know. I don't, maybe I was a little kid and maybe little kids just don't feel pain. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But I'm in 5th grade. This guy, I think he was in 8th. You know, he was big. He was literally twice my height and more than twice my size, you know, in terms of weight, that is. So, you know, yes, I remember the fight. You know, I ran to a corner. There was nowhere to go. I didn't realize it was a dead end hall, despite how many times I'd been in there. And I leaned over, I grabbed the back of my head, and he goes to wailing on my back and my sides and my hips. I am hit about 6 or 7 times, and he walks away. That was the fight. And I'm like, okay, I remember thinking, in a fight, aren't you supposed to hurt somebody? So I'm like, I'm not hurt. So what did he do? What was the point? I remember being so confused. I'm like, I thought I got whoopings from mom and dad. And I'm like, those were epic. This was, what was this? You know, yes. And I remember him walking away and him wearing, he had a cross on the back of his jacket, and he was, I remember him saying something like, if I wasn't God-fearing, I would have killed him or something like that. And I'm like, what? So I'm just like, this is strange. So he doesn't say anything else to me, and therefore I have to say nothing to him. See, it was, because if he was to say something, I was going to keep running my mouth too. So I'm like, why would this guy who's supposed to be Christian not only ask for the last bit of food that I have, but then also want to insult my mom, who has nothing to do with anything, and then get mad when I insult his, living or dead? An insult is an insult. To me, I'm like, there's no special privilege. If you don't want someone picked on, don't pick on somebody. To me, it was that simple, because I'm the one that was getting picked on, so I'm retaliating. If you don't like my retaliation, then you shouldn't have attacked me. It made sense to me. And that's not the only thing. No, there's lots of things. And I'm not going to go over every little story. Oh, no. But, right now we're at about the 13-minute mark, 14-minute mark. But I'm just going to keep talking. You can listen, turn it away. That's cool. But I just want to share this of me. That's what I want to do. So listen to it on your way home or jogging, walking, something like that. I'm just sharing who I am with this segment here. This might be a long one. So I'm like, this don't make sense. There are too many inconsistencies. If you're a Christian's supposed to be nice, kind, giving, loving. This guy wasn't that. He wasn't at all. My family, who had hurt me quite a bit, I'm like, they're supposed to be Christian like crazy. They ain't Bible thumping or nothing, but they're not sitting there like, you need to listen to this Bible all day and no. But at the same time, what in the world? If someone's trying to impress you, you don't destroy what they're trying to impress you with. If someone is your family, you treat them like you would the rest of your family, and not like the stranger with nasty, grubby hands. Although I admit I had nasty, grubby hands, and if I could go back in time, I'd be like, whoa, man, You nasty buzzard. Wash your hands first. But see, I wasn't thinking about that. Don't know why, but because of the fact that I'm not that far from a germaphobe. I'm not that far off. And the reason, I've got my reasons, okay? I'm not that far off. I remember, like, why is this happening? You know, my mom steals from the church treasury for gas or shoes or whatnot. And she'll lie to your face about it. I mean, I know because she did. And I look at him like, and I think it was after, 2 months of realizing she's doing this. I'm like, Mom, you know, why are you doing that? You know, just, I don't get it. You know, it didn't make me no never mind. But I'm like, you know, why do you take from the church treasury? You know, why you steal? Boy, I don't steal nothing. Okay. And she's like, I put it back. That's when I put it back. I'm like, so it's not theft if you put it back. She's like, well, I mean, it is, but it ain't, because, you know, you do right. And I'm like, wouldn't you do right by not taking it in the first place? And she's like, you need to quit on talking to me. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, it ain't my money. I don't give a damn. I don't care. You know, I was thinking, what the hell has the church done for me? So screw it. You know, I go there, I sweat, I'm uncomfortable in these hand-me-down clothes and these too small shoes that's bunching up my toes and hurting my heels, and they slip on non-carpeted surfaces. I'm like, I go to church and suffer. So, I mean, is that really what Christianity is supposed to be? And these are things that I think, you know, I don't know who else out there thinks this stuff. And so, to carry on with this, I remember, now look, am I without my sin? Well, no, man, I got tired of getting picked on and bullied in school. I got tired of getting picked on by like one person around where I lived. I got tired of my dad. I mean, literally, every time I look at him, after I think I reached about 14 or so, it's like every time I would look at him, he would just have this look of disappointment, just looking at me. And then by the time I was 18, every time he looked at me, he just sigh and shake his head or something. Never had any, man, it was just, what good? I can't recall too many positive things he ever said to me. You know, and I don't think he was a Christian. I don't think he was caring about the church either. You know, I think honestly on Sundays, he just wanted to be home and watch the game. I think that's what he wanted. And I wasn't happy with how Dad was. I wasn't happy with a lot of things. I wasn't happy with how people treated me at school. And I remember hearing so much about how this is a Christian nation, a Christian country. And I'm thinking, okay, so in my mind at the time, everyone is a Christian but me and the Methodists and the Baptists and the Catholics. Okay. And also, as I learned, the Jehovah's Witness. So I'm like, it's a Christian country. Okay. And they talk about people going to war and fighting and whatnot. And, you know, for God and for Jesus and stuff. And I start seeing license plates and whatnot. You know, I love Jesus. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is all Savior and all this. And he's the Savior. And I'm thinking, Savior of what? What has he saved anyone from? And I'm like, and then I was like, what is going on? Why? You know, why? And there is a sub story in this that I'm going to do a separate post on. And it might be a short post because it's a post of anger and rage, but I'm going to stick from that. I'm going to stay away from that right now. I remember when I was working at IBM and having, I would go to the store and try to buy me, this Walmart had popped up. So I remember going to Walmart and I'm like, you know, I'm trying to find me some audio video cords, or the latest transformer or whatnot. And back then I was really trying to do audio video stuff. I didn't know exactly what I was trying to go for, other than stop motion or voiceover and stuff. And all I had was, an old school stereo, 2 VCRs, and I had all bought a microphone recently. So when I went to go find some more audio video cords and extensions and Y splitters, this kid it was a white kid, white mom, and it was at the checkout, and he wanted this fire truck. And I ain't gonna lie, it was an awesome looking fire truck. I'm gonna be honest. And they couldn't afford it. And the thing was like, I don't know, $20 or so, $19.95 or something like that. So he looked pretty bad about it. She said, no, we just got to put it back. We don't have enough money for it. We can't afford it. And he was like, he was just, but she says, I know you've been wanting that. You got to put it back. And so he pushed it to the side, and they started to ring up the rest of their stuff. And he had moved on. I looked at it and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. So I grabbed it. And I pushed it through. And the woman says, is this yours? And I said, no, it's theirs. And the woman says, I said, don't worry. Don't worry. I got this. I'll pay for it. And I had $40 on me, and what I was buying only cost like, I think, a total of $15. So I paid for it. And the woman had to teach the kid, I think this kid had to have been about, I'm going to say somewhere in between 8 and 10. He was little. His head was just, I think his head was above the checkout lane, the register. What did the conveyor belt? There we go. Conveyor belt. So his head was like, his chin was just kissing it. He was pretty tall-ish. And so she had to go through it like, you give him the, fire truck, you give him the money, he'll pay for it, and you get it. So, and he looked at me kind of like, I do not trust this man to give me this fire truck. And it was, you should just saw, and the look on her face was like, this is a very, awesome moment here. And I just wanted to help the boy out. As crazy as it is, nothing went through my head that you would think, at the time, I just wanted the boy to have the toy that he wanted. What if he gets this? I admit, at that time I thought, if this boy gets this fire truck and he loves this fire truck, what if he grows up to be that fireman that saves a life? So just getting this boy a fire truck could save somebody's life, or a bunch of people's lives, or save a home so people can have somewhere to stay if it's burning down. That's what was going through my head, because one toy at one moment can help set somebody for a very positive future. So that's what I did. I got him the toy. The mother was very appreciative. And she didn't throw out any, bless you, God bless you, or anything like that. She was just like, thank you very much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this, And I said, oh, you're welcome. I said, he should have the toy that he wants. Especially one that's important like this. And she just smiled at me and she took it. I didn't want the change or anything back. I was like, just, it's paid for. Just use the rest of that for what I'm paying for here. Because quite honestly, I'm not that adept at math. So just keep it. Just keep it. And it would have been just a few pennies anyway. So it didn't really matter. So I got it. I got my stuff and drove home, got home, and I remember thinking there's some other positive things that can come from this. What if he's in a home where they teach, that racist crap, to hate black people, to look down at them? What if they teach that kind of stuff? Oh, black people are only good for destroying their own neighborhood, because that's all I grew up hearing on TV. Black kids and whatnot, teenagers, they're only good at graffiti and destroying their own homes and their own neighborhoods and being unaccountable fathers to their children. That's all I ever heard, just negative stuff. So what if this puts black people in a positive light in his eyes? What if she was teaching him that stuff all this time, or has been taught this, and then I've done something positive? Maybe that will help change their views on black people. Maybe I've done some good. And I didn't think then until, oh my goodness, so much time later. I really thought, and I didn't have to be a Christian to do it. I just didn't I still didn't understand, why do I have to be a Christian to do good things? I don't know why. Why would I have to be? And, hearing people like later on in life, hearing people like Steve Harvey saying, where's your moral compass if you don't believe in God? And everyone wants me to believe in God and wants everyone else to believe in God. But then it's like, okay, you can believe in God, but you have to believe in God my way, or the way I was taught, or the way the person that was taught that taught me. If you don't believe in God our way, then basically you don't believe in God and you suck and you're weak and you're against us and you're for a different God, not ours, not the real one. And I didn't want to hear all that mess. I really didn't want to hear all that. It was just, so if you're somebody that does not like to hear that someone doesn't believe in God, honestly, I think it's worse to believe in God and separate everyone else who doesn't believe in God or don't believe in God in your way. And then I thought about this. What about, okay, I got to see people talk about God and how to act and how to behave and handle yourself as a Christian and whatnot, to be neighborly and understanding and to be able to listen and things like that. So in my own family, I didn't have to try. I didn't. Anything I wanted to do to disprove those claims came before I had a chance to even try to disprove them. In fact, they would come up before I even remembered that I even wanted to disprove them, because that stuff didn't matter so much. It mattered the first few seconds I thought of it, but after that, I go back to playing my video games. I didn't care. I just wanted to I wanted to play my video games. I that's all I wanted. So, getting back to playing, wrestling games and first person space flight games and whatnot. So when my family would do stuff like literally not listening to someone or yelling at somebody without trying to get nuance or trying to understand it from their perspective, I'm like, that's not the Christian thing y'all talk about. It's not. So, I don't get it. It was quite annoying to me, and it was very inconsistent with everything that they talk about. It was. And I remember throughout my life, at that time, listening and hearing, and it's a phrase that I know that a lot of people, if you're still listening at this near 30-minute mark, that you've heard a lot. And it always begins with 3 words. And he said. Those 3 words. And he said. This refers to Jesus in the Bible. Jesus is always saying something, always quoting something. That was the problem. Now, why is Jesus saying anything a problem? Because whenever someone quotes the Bible, it will be in Matthew, or to be in something, or Hebrews or Romans or something. So I'm like, all right, so if Matthew wrote this, why they obviously came from Matthew. Why would you say Jesus said? So it didn't make sense. So you mean tell me everything written in the Bible, Jesus said it? And he said, and I'm like, and I never really looked in the Bible. I hadn't. I can be honest with you. Whenever I got near a Bible, I got pissed off. I always got pissed off whether I saw it or not. And the older I got, the less that happened. I'm like, I'm near a Bible, I don't give a damn. I just move on. But I've never liked being around the Bible, and it's strange. I never felt the Bible was evil. I felt the Bible was just full of lies. I didn't like it. I had not read it. I had never opened it. Mom had gave me one but to hold and read through, but I would just open it and look up or close my eyes. I'd never read anything in it. So I remember listening to TV during all of this time, these years, and there was always New Testaments being advertised. And I didn't know what a New Testament was. Not at any given point. And then I learned New Testament means things have been changed. Things have been altered. Okay, so this the word of God that's inherent, and I didn't know what inherent meant at the time. The inherent word of God, but Jesus is saying everything written by somebody else, and now you're changing it. If there was a blaspheme, wouldn't that be it? I mean, really think about it. Wouldn't that be it? And I remember bringing that up to someone, and I can't remember who it was. I really don't. It wasn't a family member. It wasn't a damn sure one a friend. My friends were very few and far between. That's for sure. But they said that when it comes to the New Testament, it's not that they're changing anything. They're simplifying it for modern times. So they keep all the stuff in there. And I'm thinking, but that don't make sense. Just leave it the way it is, you know? And he was like, well, it also helps people interpret the Bible better. And I'm like, interpret? It's this at this point, when this was being explained, this was after watching, Sidra probably get a laugh out of this, but this was after watching that movie Quick Change. You ought to watch it. Bill Murray. It's a funny movie. But in that part, in the movie, there's a part where I need an interpreter. So that part alone can suffice on itself by itself. But for this, this was okay to interpret the Bible. And I knew what to interpret mean. I knew that. It meant to make sense, to figure it out. If there's hieroglyphics, you interpret it into English or whatever language you speak. Okay. If somebody is saying something, what the hell is that? Well, it's not a language. The guy is high on such and such. Oh, don't worry, man. I know what he means. I know him. I can interpret that mess. So, okay, that's what it means. It means to make sense out of something. The problem is lots of people interpret the Bible in various ways. That was my issue. They interpret the Bible in various ways. And this interpreted by their preacher that will say, open your books to this, read such and such of this. And then people most likely highlight that part because that's what the pastor or what preacher, whatnot says. Okay. So that's when I didn't have a definition, but I knew what that was. And to me, it was all bullshit, but it was cherry picking. I'm like, why don't they read everything as is? You know, why read 4 or 5 lines and then say what he meant was? Why say that? Why interpret it? If I go into a room and say, I'm going to kill everybody in here, does anyone have to interpret that? Really? It's just inconsistent. No, you shouldn't have to interpret something that you are supposedly, just hear me out. You shouldn't have to interpret something that you are going to follow with the only life you get so blindly that your life matters not, if little, in the grand scheme of something that somebody created for others to follow for their own gain. And that person or persons are long dead and people are still following it. So that's where my head was. It makes no sense to blindly follow cherry-picked manuscripts from a book from somebody that wrote this and obviously didn't interpret it right from the original. I remember listening to politics as a kid. Literally from 11 to about 17. and hearing it on TV, getting ready for school and whatnot. And I'm like, what did they say? Because the wording and terminologies were way above me. Words that were, these are big words, and I'm like, what? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm just lost. And so people would interpret it on TV. Okay, what does the president mean when he says? What does congressman or senator or the mayor or whatnot? Well, the mayor really never got TV time. But what would they say what they mean when they say this? I'm like, shouldn't you know what they mean? Why are you deciphering? And it's strange. I knew that word. I knew deciphering, but when they would talk about, they would say POTUS. I didn't know it meant President of the United States. But the way they would use it wouldn't, POTUS today. So I'm like, okay, POTUS did what? POTUS said POTUS. So that's where I was. So when it came to the Bible, I'm like, why interpret anything? Read it, and it should be flat on. If it's not, then it's wrong. And the reason I felt this way, there's a reason. When I was in elementary school, when I was in 4th grade learning about definitions, actually bled from the last half of 3rd grade and then into the first half of 4th grade, though the same teacher. It was definitions should be simple. They may be a little long, but they should be easy to read and understand. You should not have to think to understand the definition. The definition should allow you to think more on the word and expand your horizon. And she said, if you have to define words in a definition, then the definition has failed to be a definition. And the definition should never be the same word. You cannot use the same word in the definition. So when the Bible does not do what it should, if you cannot look at the Bible and just say, this says this and move on, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Why believe in it? And that's where I was. So to me, the Bible to me was bullshit. There was no need to believe in it. There was no need to believe in the preacher, the pastor, or anything. It's bad enough. I was just feeling that way because I felt that way just because I came second, because I came last. And Jesus says this and says that. And now, well, back then now, it turned from that to I started hearing this other thing. And God says, oh, wait a minute, Jesus said earlier. That don't make sense. Just as I thought I had it down, Jesus is saying this, and they're probably misquoting certain things. No, now God is saying it. So who's saying it, Jesus or God? Because Jesus is supposed to be the Son of God through Mary, who married Joseph for some reason. And might I add, I figured I grew up in a time, I knew this before, as strange as I knew this around when I was about 13 or 14. If you are a single mother, the chance of you getting married is extremely slim because don't no dude want to take care of somebody else's kid. So I was like, Joseph must have been a very good guy, or Mary must have been awesome. And then I heard stories about, well, Jesus is the son of Mary and Joseph. Well, I thought God was his dad. Well, yes, she conceived him. She conceived Jesus with God. God did that, and he wanted to have a son, so he used her as a vessel for that. I'm like, God and Joseph. I remember thinking God and Joseph can't be nailing the same woman. That don't seem right. So who's telling the story of this? It's like, don't worry about that. Just know that they had, Jesus was born in a very warm and comfortable, loving place in a barn with animals because that's how it was supposed to be. And 3 wise men brought him the most precious gifts around. And I'm like, what? So there's just too many inconsistencies with that. And honestly, 17, to about 20 something, watching those daytime talk shows, I literally thought this is just an episode of Jerry Springer, Ricky Lake, Jenny Jones, and Maury Povich and whatnot. That's what I thought. This is just one of those shows, because that just screams, who's your baby's daddy? You know, but we're not going to get a test. We'll just raise the kid and, you know, it's all good. And at the same time, I had also learned previously, but started mixing. I'm like, you know what? Greek mythology, Zeus did the same thing. He would take different forms of, this is strange, animals, and literally, as it would be written, rape the women. In Greek terminology, they like to use words as spot on as they can. So if you stole somebody's money, you raped them of the money. If you stole the sex from a female, which is kind of how they would word it, you raped them of their sex, of their safety. And Zeus did this ad nauseum. You know, it seemed like he was the only god that did it. So I'm like, I see what they're doing, especially seeing that Greek mythology predated the Bible. Didn't know that. So I'm like, that's where they got it from. I get it now. They just heard different stories. They don't know which one to make sense. That's why they say Jesus says and then God says, because they don't know which one they want to use. And then I hear, just when I got that down. I got it. Then what happens? Oh, there's the Trinity. What? Well, yeah. Jesus is one person. God is another person. And they're all the same. I'm like, that, no. There's some things, and then I stopped hearing about the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't say Jesus says, then God says, and then say, you know what? They're all the same. They're all individual, and they are exactly the same person. And I'm like, okay, if God's a person, can I find him and slap him? Because to be all powerful and to be all knowing, why don't you do something about this? Your own story. People are making up stuff about your own story and livelihood. Now, and I remember raging about this in my room, looking out the window and keeping myself from laughing hysterically because I found it so stupid. And then I remember thinking, man, when people lied on me, I set the story straight. Why don't he? I mean, why not? And it just seemed inconsistent. It was extremely inconsistent. So I live my life helping others. When I needed help, others wouldn't help me. Whether it be a get rich quick, quote unquote, scheme. It was never a scheme. I did Amway. Amway turned into Quick Star. And I did ACN. But that was much later. But I did that when I was 18. I did Quick Star, and my family wouldn't help me. They wouldn't help me. Hey, you know, you go to the store and you pay $5 for that cleaner. I got the same cleaner for $3.99. How about it? Or how about I got this cleaner for $18.99? No, $18.50. So basically just round up $19. All right. Now see, me, I would pay $10. You would pay $19. All right. And this multi-purpose cleaner. And I would go through that spiel. And, you know, that should beat the $25 worth of cleaners that you got down there. So, you know, hey, we can do that once a month. Or every 2 months or 3 months. And I remember my aunt saying, well, how much do you get out of it? And I said, well, I should be charging probably $25. But, I mean, you're my aunt. So how about I just charge you what I would get, you know? And she's like, well, if you're not going to make any money, then I don't see the point on getting it. I'm like, what? I'm asking for your help, and I'm trying to get you to buy stuff that honestly I bought myself 2 times over and I thought worked awesomely, truthfully. I really did. But she's not going to help me. And I'm like, where's the Christian in you? You know, if I can save you literally $15 and all you have to do is just support your nephew, why not? Save yourself $15, support your nephew, your family member. Everybody wins. And I got a customer. And I feel good about myself. My spirits are lifted. Everybody wins, but you can't do that. None of my family could do that, especially when most of them had heard of Amway and gone through all that crap. So they're like jaded about it, and rightfully so. Rightfully so, understandably. But my dreams were different. Keep it in the family. Maybe the family will branch it out. Maybe the family will have a better view of it if I present it differently, if I show them that it's worth it. But my family wouldn't help me. So I have the ability to give away nuggets to people that didn't need it because I believed that they needed it. To give a boy a fire truck, okay? I mean, he made a couple of cents out of the deal. So he got a fire truck and made some change. Meek change, but change nonetheless. And I'm doing this stuff out of the goodness of my own heart. There's nothing I'm getting out of this. I feel like they need it. Where's the Christianity from those who are Christian? It's just too many inconsistencies. That's the problem. I mean, you espouse to be a Christian, and then you don't do the things that would be a Christian. You bully people, you hurt people, you insult people. And if they don't own up to what you believe, how it is to do what you got to do as a believer, then you push them away. If they don't say what someone's already told you to believe with, then they don't matter. And that's not cool. You know, that's not cool. I teach my daughter, I give her the talks often. You know, don't lie. Don't steal. Don't, you know, if it doesn't belong to you, don't take it. You know, look, just yesterday, you know, she was going into the refrigerator. She was like, whose water is this? I said, I don't know. Because I forgot if I put it there or not. And she's like, whose water? And I said, I don't know. And she's reaching for it. I said, hey, what you doing? I said, you need to leave it alone. But I said, whose is it? She said, I don't know. I said, since you don't know, you leave it alone. She said, what if it's mom's? I said, what if? I said, it's not yours. So leave it alone. Obviously somebody put it in there and you didn't. So leave it alone. And see, if I got up and looked in there, I would have been like, oh, that's mine. I remember that. I put it right there at the edge. But I didn't get up. I was trying to teach her a straight up lesson. Don't mess with stuff that don't belong to you. And so she goes and talks to her mom, and her mom's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's not mine. I don't know. So she comes back in here. She opens the door. She's moping. She reaches in. I said, hey, what are you doing? Well, mom doesn't know if it's hers. I said, that don't mean you take it. And so we got to go through that. Just because you don't know means you don't touch. If I look in, and I told her, if I go in there and there's something in there that I would like, but I didn't put it in there, and I can tell that it's personalized because it's just one, then I'm not going to mess with it. I will ask around, who does this belong to? And if nobody knows, then we're going to have to let it sit there for a little bit until we figure it out. Because for me personally, if I didn't put it there, my daughter didn't put it there, and Sidra didn't put it there, that means somebody who don't live here put it there, and we got bigger issues than we ever knew about. That's how that goes with me. So that's what I'm teaching her. And I'm not Christian. I'm not Jehovah's Witness. I'm none of that stuff. I'm just a dude that knows straight up how he would feel if somebody did bad things to him. And I've had bad things done to me. And why do I call it bad? Because it didn't feel good when it happened. Things were stolen from me. Things went missing. I've been bullied, chastised, ostracized. I've been outcasted. I've been all of this other stuff throughout various little parts of my life. So I do understand what it means to hurt. And I know how to hurt others. I have done it and I have apologized. And literally, I'm like, I really mean my apology. I'm sorry. I do not give idle apologies. I don't do that weak. That's weak to me. That's weakness. I do not give idle apologies. Oh, I'm sorry if you're hurt. I'm sorry if you feel that way. Those backhanded apologies. See, to me, it almost takes a person who is either disjointed from life, disconnected from their observation, or don't have too much empathy to do something like that. I'm not saying that person is bad. I'm not judging them overall, not necessarily, but it's safe to assume that they don't have much empathy if they can give you a backhanded apology. You know, I mean, like for example, you watch the Young Turks and you listen to Anna Kasparian or Cenk Uygur, and you'll hear them talking about the racist and all this other stuff. He's like, I'm sorry if my words offend you. And it's like, what the fuck? No, you don't need to give no backhanded apology. What you need to do is tell them straight up how messed up they are, how wrong they are, and do the right thing. Do the right thing. And that's what I've always tried to do, the right thing. And there are two right things. What does it take for you to further your life without hurting anyone else, mentally, physically, or financially? And then there's the right thing, as in, do what the person tells you to do and behave and don't think past it. And to me, that's what I have thus far gathered from religion. I have told you something, you will believe it, and if you question it, you're going to hell. You have done wrong by questioning it. You have asked questions and we are pissed. And since we are pissed, God is pissed. And since God is pissed, you are done. Now, you can ask for forgiveness, but if you do, then you have to live in complete servitude. I've heard that mess before. And people have told me I need to ask or beg for forgiveness. I'm going to think I don't beg for nothing. You know, the only people that I would actually beg to is mom and dad, and that's for Transformers. And even to this day, I'd be like, I would do it, Mom. I would like this Transformer. How much is this much? It's like, well, why can't you get it? Because I haven't made much on Medium, because I haven't posted anything. YouTube has jacked me on my wrestling money. So my prospects of money are nil, you know, but you know, and truthfully, when YouTube see my copyright strike for wrestling, one of them has come off today. It's the 14th, and they said the 14th won't come off. Another one comes off the 20th. You know, hopefully I don't get any more, you know, so then I'll be able to get, hey, maybe I get some money, you know, do my thing. And people out there, and see, I'm such a damn fool, because I'm thinking, if people out there, like, let's say Conquering Thought was like, I don't have any money and I need this type of microphone. If I easily had the money, I'd be like, here you go. You know, I would order it for him and send it to his house. That's a fool, and his money is always soon parted. And that comes from basically people who are wealthy. You know, and it's true. That's true. If I had $1 million, I would invest it so I can make more money, and I would use enough of it to probably build some really cheap homes somewhere so people could easily pay them off in a matter of 5 to 10 years, hopefully. That's what I would do. It's just me. And I figured maybe I'm just not Christian enough. Maybe that's what it is. You know, maybe if I was Christian enough, I would just be basking in money, you know. Maybe that's what it is. But then again, isn't that what Jesus or God or somebody was against? Just asking. Too many inconsistencies, right? That's my problem. I don't want to be in a part of something that have inconsistencies. I don't have to ask, who is Martin Luther King? I can look him up, and everything it'll be the same everywhere. You look up Jesus, different pictures. He's always white, blonde hair, blue eyes, or light brown hair and blue eyes, or brown hair, slightly curly, brown eyes. bearded, always bearded. But that's the only consistency. He's white. And then you hear about black Jesus, and I'm like, what? And then you find out certain other truths. But I'll leave that for another post. I might do that one almost immediately after this one. I don't know. But that's where I am right now. That's why I am the way I am. That's why I'm an atheist. Because how can I believe in something that has so many inconsistencies? It's all over the place. How do you do that? There's so many versions of the Bible. There's so many cherry-picked parts. Why not read everything and understand what you're reading and don't interpret it, but take it as literal as it is? Because as I've heard ad nauseum for the past 10 years, since I was 32, the Bible is the inherent word of God. It is perfect. It is unchanged. It is word for word perfect. And you take it as the gospel. Gospel meaning the truth of truths. So everything in there, don't cherry pick it, read it, take it as, and if you don't like the things in there, then maybe you have to think about something. Maybe it's not that you believe in God is wrong. Maybe it's the fact of you listening to the people at the church. Maybe you stop going to church. Believe in God, but don't go to church. It's not hard to do. You can believe in Jesus and all the other stuff. You ain't got to go to church and keep hearing some, convoluted cherry pick nonsense. That's why I am not in church. That's why I do what I do, and it's not just, religious people. No, call out the non-religious people, call everyone out, because there are people who are atheists who are just as convoluted and messed up as those who are theists. I want to thank anyone who's hung in there all this time. This was a very long one. Thank you. I know, like I said, I know this was long, and I appreciate it. Comments or whatnot. If you're going to give me a thumbs down, look, at least explain why, so I at least know what's going on, hit and miss and all this other stuff. I mean, it's the least you can do. I have a very small audience. So if you want to give me a thumbs down, let me know why. Was the video bad? Was my voice bad? Did you dislike something I said? Just explain it to me. That's all I ask. I don't mind the thumbs down. Just explain why. And if it's something like you're stupid or because you're an atheist or something, then honestly, I say this from the bottom of my heart and with all intellectual pride and understanding and logic. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself with glue. This is Cedric Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning, the Atheist Dragon. Thank you for listening.